welcome, Cameron's son. You know, the best way that I describe, at least for myself, this film, it's a what if film.
Mm-hmm.
What if your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man was in a Jackie Chan Kung Fu movie? Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So, my first question is, what inspired you to create this specific film?
So yeah, since I was a kid, like two of my favorite things to watch were like Jackie Chan Hong Kong Kung Fu movies and the Spider-Man animated series. Very much like since I was a kid, I've always like been a fan of both. So last year I had a short film at the festival called John Wick, which was like a John Wick and Harry Potter mashup. So the idea of like mashing up two things that I love in sort of a way that I haven't seen before sort of became a creative exercise I wanted to keep doing. So this ended up being sort of the spiritual successor to the John Wick Harry Potter film.
So there's definitely some what I would consider to be tongue-in-cheek type of humor
Mhm.
throughout the film. So are we kind of also making fun a little bit of some of the go-to tricks and styles of kung fu movies at the same time here?
Yes, absolutely. Like the goal very much was to emulate the tone of like a Jackie movie, which is very like slapstick comedy, tongue in cheek. And also like Spider-Man is his like the quips that he does was also something that we wanted to include. So like physical comedy plus sort of like the Spidey quips that he always does in the comics and movies was our aim comedically.
So from start to finish,
Mhm.
how long did it take to create the film? And please describe
Mhm.
what was the most challenging aspects of creating the film?
I think from start to finish, it was maybe about 2 months total from like me sending the first message to Kevin, us
Mhm.
grabbing coffee and then talking, and then actually maybe 3 months to like finishing the film. So about 3 months total on and off. We were also like working on other projects as well. So about 3 months on and off. Oh, the most challenging. I think for me, it was very much like working with a stunt team. It was the unknown that was challenging for me of like, oh, how do I, because I'm used to like hitting up a sort of stunt performer friends I have, and I'm like the sort of the organizer of it. And then sort of I would come up with action beats and then the actor's performance. So to have it to hand it over to somebody else, I wasn't sure how that collaboration would go. But it actually became less challenging. So it was like I thought it would be more challenging, but actually I realized how much easier it was when if you just have somebody who's really good at their craft take the lead on it, it takes a lot of workload off my plate. And I guess the real most challenging probably was just like doing all the visual effects myself because I was sort of a one-man post-production team on that.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit now about Cam's Corner on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have a significant follower base.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I interpret and perceive that channel, it appears like it's a mix of your involvement with your fans,
Mm-hmm.
number one, but also a bit of selfless gesture as it relates to giving tips to other filmmakers in terms of
Mm-hmm.
how you approach films effects wise. And so, my curiosity, Cameron, do you have interest in formal teaching of the filmmaking process?
Yes. Yeah, so I think actually both of my parents are college professors, so I do come from like a family of educators. They're both in the theater world, so they're more on like theater history and like the live stage production side. So definitely like education is something that I would love to do. And I think as I get older, and I'm less like just like I'm obviously still learning every single day, but I realize that it's good to sort of send the elevator back down or like pass on anything I learned. And I realize I'm sort of crossing that threshold of like, oh, I'm not as young as I was, and I'm now in a phase where maybe things I learned can be useful to people younger than me or people earlier in the process than I am.
Thank you, Cameron. I'm now going to pass it over to host Patrick.
Thank you, Rob. Welcome to GeekFest, Cameron.
Thank you. Hi, Patrick.
Where was the film shot? Was it shot in Hong Kong?
No, it was shot in my apartment complex in Glendale, Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
So I added the Hong Kong skyline as like in visual effects to like fake it.
Are you a fan of the Spider-Man movies? Did they influence you at all in making the film?
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm a big fan of actually like pretty much all three of the live action ones and the video games and like anything Spider-Man I'm a fan of and I probably consumed.
Why Spider-Man? What drew you to Spider-Man?
I think I think it probably speaks to why Spider-Man as a character is so popular is because he's like a teenager and it feels like he could be an everyman and he deals with like real life struggles. He's not Batman who's a billionaire. He's not Superman who's like an alien god. There's like a relatability of him, and like even though he has superpowers, he struggles with real life issues, which makes him approachable. And he's always like, even though he's very powerful, he's like often an underdog in situations, and I love that about him.
How did you, Rob talked about choreography. I want to be a little bit more specific. In the final fight scene, Spider-Chan, he uses a sneaker to beat the gang leader, the leader of the gang. How did you come up with the idea for the sneaker?
So that is actually a direct reference to a move that Jackie does in Police Story 2, where he's fighting a bunch of gangsters in a playground, and he doesn't use a shoe, but he like, I think there's like a piece of like a monkey bar that's broken off, and he like does like the back front like multiple beat like sort of hit. And I was trying to come up with like, how do I Spider-Manify that beat? So that's when I came up with like, oh, he could use his web shooters to like grab onto something and use it as like a lasso or like a whip thing to hit the bad guy. So that was the influence for that specific action beat.
What about next project? Do you have anything in the portfolio you're working on, or any more Spider-Chans?
So I guess there's like two. So I just filmed a horror short film this past December, which is like an 18-minute narrative, very different from Spider-Chan. Pretty much no action. It's more of like a drama and like a horror film. And that one hopefully will hit the festival circuit second half of this year. And in terms of a follow-up to Spider-Chan, like I think I wanted to wrap out a trilogy of like these mashups. So if John Witch was the first one, this is the second one. I'm trying to think of the third one. Like currently, the idea that I'm most likely going to do, that this could change, is a Batman and Ip Man film. If you guys are familiar, do you know Ip Man? It's like Donnie Yen, these martial arts films from Hong Kong, where he plays Bruce Lee's teacher in these films. And yeah, feel free to look up. It's like IP Man. If you can find a trailer on YouTube. So to combine the action style of that, which is like very Bruce Lee, very like a specific Southern Chinese, like they do like chain punches, where like Ip Man fights like 10 karate sort of practitioners. He has a very distinct style, and combining that with like a Batman story would be like a potential like final short in the trilogy of mashups.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to hand it back to the moderator. There are some audience questions.
Fight choreography, how does it work? It's stunt work, but it's also choreography. So can you tell us about how those two worlds come together on set, please?
Sure. Yeah, so I think for this project, we benefited from like the entire cast was stunt performers. So there was not like any stunt doubles or sort of mixing of traditional actors and stunt performers, which is usually in Hollywood films, that's how they do it. But for this one, I think the process very much is like, I have a good baseline understanding of stunt choreography, where I know how to fake a punch, where it's like, how do you have two actors and what camera angle to film it from so that none of the hits actually hit the people? Or if there is a hit that lands, how does the performer know how to like land the hit in a way that if you add a sound effect, it sounds like it's a really hard hit, but on set, it's actually a pretty light hit where like the other actor is not getting hurt. So very much there's a lot of like just like a filmmaking craft tricks of like knowing the camera angles and the performers knowing like, knowing specific moves. Like each performer has a specialty. For example, even in this short, like every actor does a specific fall where like they're hit and they do a fall. And that was actually like one of the deals we made, was that like the actors could pitch us a fall they want to do so they can add it to their stunt reel, so they can potentially get hired to do that fall on like a big TV show or something. And all of these actors have like a Rolodex of different skill sets. Like this performer is more of he's really good at kicks. He has a Taekwondo background, so he can do really good kicks. This performer is really good at doing stunt falls, so let's have him do a really gnarly stunt fall. And the benefit of working with a stunt team versus just sort of what I used to do in film school, which is like have a bunch of film school friends who aren't even actors and aren't stunt performers, so I would have to do a lot of filmmaking tricks to do it, is that it made it so much easier because they are such professionals, so they know how to do it safely. So I don't even need to have to worry about safety because they are really on top of that. And if I pitch them something, they're really good at improvising as well. They're like, oh, if this doesn't work, how about this? If this doesn't work, how about this? So it was such a smooth process. And it really just comes down to like working with just like really talented people who have done this for years. Like all of them have years and years of experience, which makes my job as a director so much easier.
Tell us a little bit about how that sound is so crisp for every movement you have there.
You're cornered, Spidey.
Oh yeah, so I think it is probably does come from just years of making tons of YouTube videos and other short films where I feel like I've gotten I have a pretty good grasp on sound design, hopefully. I have a big library of sound effects that I've collected over the years. And in terms of creative reference of how the sounds should sound, definitely a combination of animated Spider-Man movies and how the sound effects sounded there, but very much also like how did Hong Kong movies Kung Fu movies in the 90s sound? Let's try to like do sound effects that sound like that. So in terms of the sound design, that was very much, and even the music choice, the first was just like a song that I found in an online sound library called epidemicsounds.com, which has a lot of royalty-free music. And then the final music was a sort of a guitar rock cover of the Spider-Man theme from the Spider-Man PlayStation video game. So that's sort of what went into the sound design and music side.
Do you plan to incorporate more female actresses / stunt actresses and Kung Fu martial artists?
Yes, absolutely. I think this one, like our stunt actress Vanessa, she was amazing, and she had worked with Kevin a lot before. Yeah, I think when we were casting, there was not a specific choice. It was very much Kevin just brought in his friends who are really talented. But definitely I've met many, I have a lot of now very talented stunt actress friends. So if there's opportunities to bring them in and maybe have them do a mashup where it's a female lead instead of a male lead, definitely something I would love to do.
For your two, I guess they're called goons that opened the briefcase, and one said, what's in there? And the other one said, drugs and some other kind of drugs. Are they comics, stand-up comics? They were quite funny and they had a very good rapport.
No, I think both of them are actors and stunt actors. So I guess like they work in the stunt world, but they also are pursuing like traditional acting as film and TV acting as well. So they definitely like got the comedic beats down. They are not stand-up comics, but I think they're just actors with great comedic chops and timing.
Final question is, what have you learned about yourself through the making of Spider-Chan?
I think I definitely learned to delegate. That's something I learned, that I come from such a do-it-yourself background, especially when you're a young filmmaker with not a lot of resources and money. You kind of take on a lot more responsibility on all the departments, and I've realized how important it is to collaborate with people who are way better than you, and your projects end up just becoming better. If the audience has seen both this film and John Witch, and they see like a improvement in either the action design or any of the aspects of it, it really comes down to because I brought on Kevin and his team to help elevate the project. So I learned like filmmaking, which I've always known, but this reinforced this idea, just filmmaking compared to other art forms, oftentimes, which can be sort of a lone wolf, more of a single person thing. Filmmaking is a collaborative art form, and the more talented other people are on your team, the better the project will turn out.